In the quaint, serene town of Brooksville, life had always been predictable. Nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, Brooksville was the kind of place where everyone knew everyone. The streets were lined with charming, old-fashioned houses, and the local cafe served as the social hub where townsfolk gathered to exchange news and gossip. For years, the biggest concerns in Brooksville revolved around the annual town fair and the occasional lost pet. However, the tranquility of Brooksville was shattered one fateful morning. Arthur Dawson, a prominent businessman who had recently moved to town with his wife Rachel, was reported missing. Arthur had been a figure of influence, known for his successful ventures and philanthropic efforts. His sudden disappearance sent ripples through the town, leaving residents bewildered and concerned. Liam Carter, a seasoned private detective who had recently retired to Brooksville, found himself drawn into the case despite his intention to enjoy a peaceful retirement. The local police, unaccustomed to high-profile cases, enlisted Liam's help, hoping his experience would shed light on the mystery. Liam had dealt with many cases in his career, but nothing prepared him for the complex web of secrets he was about to unravel. Arthur's disappearance was particularly perplexing. His luxurious home was untouched, his belongings were in place, his car keys resting on the kitchen counter, and his phone lying next to a half-read newspaper. It was as though he had vanished into thin air. The absence of any signs of struggle or foul play only added to the mystery. Liam's initial impression was that something was amiss, but the lack of concrete evidence made it challenging to pinpoint exactly what. Liam began his investigation by interviewing Arthur's wife, Rachel. Rachel, a striking woman in her early 30s, was known for her grace and poise. She appeared calm but with an underlying tension that Liam couldn't ignore. In their conversation, Rachel seemed genuinely distressed, but there was an air of restraint in her responses. She insisted that she knew nothing about her husband's whereabouts and was adamant that he had been acting strangely in the days leading up to his disappearance. As Liam continued to probe, he discovered that Arthur had been a private man who kept his personal affairs closely guarded. Neighbors and acquaintances reported that Arthur had been withdrawn and secretive, which only deepened the mystery. Despite their concerns, no one had noticed anything overtly suspicious. The town's serene facade seemed to be concealing a darker truth. Liam's investigation led him to Arthur's office, a place that seemed untouched since his disappearance. Papers and files were neatly arranged on the desk, and a half-finished report lay open. Among the documents, Liam found a series of encrypted messages and financial records that hinted at dealings beyond the town's quiet facade. There were references to large sums of money and transactions with unknown entities. It became clear that Arthur's life was more complicated than it appeared. Rachel's demeanor remained consistent, calm yet evasive. Liam couldn't shake the feeling that she was hiding something. Her emotional responses were often incongruent with the gravity of the situation. Despite her outward calm, there was a sense of fear in her eyes. This fear, Liam suspected, was a key to unraveling the mystery. As days passed and the search for Arthur continued, the once peaceful town of Brooksville was gripped by an air of unease. The disappearance of a well-known figure had turned the town into a hotbed of speculation and suspicion. Liam, determined to get to the bottom of the case, knew that he needed to delve deeper into both Arthur's and Rachel's backgrounds. The seemingly idyllic town was now a stage for a complex and potentially dangerous drama, and Liam was at the center of it all, unraveling a mystery that threatened to reveal unsettling truths about the people he thought he knew. The quiet town of Brooksville had been upended, and Liam Carter was about to discover just how deep the deception ran. As the days stretched on and the search for Arthur Dawson continued, private detective Liam Carter found himself increasingly fixated on Rachel Dawson. Her calm facade and the discrepancies in her statements had begun to eat away at Liam's instincts. There was something undeniably unsettling about the way Rachel spoke, or rather, the way she avoided certain topics. Rachel's alibi was that she had been out shopping when Arthur went missing, but no one could confirm her whereabouts. The townspeople reported seeing her, but their accounts were inconsistent. As Liam dug into Rachel's background, he discovered that she had lived a life surrounded by privilege but seemed oddly disconnected from Arthur's business dealings. This discrepancy raised a red flag for Liam. Arthur's home, once a symbol of affluence and success, now seemed to be a treasure trove of hidden clues. Liam's search of the house revealed various oddities: a locked drawer in Arthur's study, an unusual amount of cash in a safe, and multiple documents encrypted with complex codes. Liam's experience told him that Arthur was involved in something illicit, and the more he uncovered, the clearer it became that Rachel had been complicit. The breakthrough came when Liam decrypted some of the financial records he had found. They indicated a series of transactions involving offshore accounts and a list of names that were unfamiliar but suspiciously recurring. Among the names was Victor Harrington, a known figure in the underground criminal world. It appeared that Arthur had been involved in activities far beyond what was apparent to the public. Rachel's evasive responses during her interviews only intensified Liam's suspicions. When confronted with the documents linking Arthur to criminal dealings, Rachel's composed demeanor faltered slightly. She admitted that Arthur had indeed been troubled by something, but she remained vague about the details. According to Rachel, Arthur had become increasingly paranoid, and she had noticed that he was receiving threatening messages. Rachel's fear seemed genuine when Liam discovered she had been receiving anonymous threats as well. The messages warned her to stay silent about Arthur's dealings. This new development added another layer to the mystery. Why would someone threaten Rachel if Arthur was already missing? It suggested that there were more players involved, and that Rachel might be in danger herself. Liam's investigation led him to consult with local experts and colleagues from his past cases. He discovered that Arthur had been in contact with various individuals who had a reputation for being involved in shady business. One name repeatedly surfaced: Victor Harrington, a man with a reputation for being ruthless and manipulative. Harrington had connections with several criminal networks and was known for his ability to operate in the shadows. The complexity of Arthur's situation became more apparent as Liam pieced together the puzzle. It seemed that Arthur had been involved in a scheme that not only threatened his life but also had far-reaching consequences. The more Liam investigated, the more he realized that Arthur's disappearance was likely linked to a larger criminal operation, and Rachel's role in the matter was more significant than initially thought. Rachel's fear and anxiety seemed to escalate, and Liam suspected that she was hiding more than she had revealed. In one of their final meetings, Rachel broke down and confessed that Arthur had been blackmailed. She explained that Arthur had hidden a box in their home, fearing it contained evidence that could incriminate him. Rachel's hesitation to open the box hinted at its importance, and Liam knew it was crucial to uncover its contents. Rachel's confession painted a picture of a man trapped in a dangerous web of deceit. Arthur's involvement in criminal activities, his secrecy, and the threats he and Rachel had received pointed to a larger, more sinister plot. The situation was far from straightforward, and Liam knew that to solve the case, he needed to uncover the truth behind Arthur's connections and the true nature of the threats facing Rachel. As the investigation deepened, Liam's sense of urgency grew. The seemingly simple case of a missing person had transformed into a complex criminal mystery with dangerous implications. With every clue he uncovered, Liam moved closer to the truth, but he also found himself entangled in a web of deceit that threatened to ensnare him as well. The stakes were higher than ever, and the answers Liam sought were proving elusive, hidden beneath layers of secrecy and danger. Liam Carter's investigation had begun to draw unwanted attention. The deeper he delved into Arthur Dawson's life and connections, the more resistance he encountered. The once quiet town of Brooksville was now a backdrop for intrigue and danger. Someone clearly wanted to keep the secrets buried. The first sign of trouble came when Liam discovered that his car had been tampered with. A mechanic found that the brake lines had been cut, a clear attempt to sabotage his investigation. The incident served as a chilling reminder of the risks involved and the power of those he was up against. Unfazed but more cautious, Liam intensified his efforts, aware that every step he took could be watched. Rachel Dawson's increasing distress and the threatening messages she had received hinted that her involvement was deeper than initially suspected. Despite her fears, she remained tight-lipped about the contents of the mysterious box Arthur had hidden. Liam needed to access the box, and with Rachel's permission, he took the key she had reluctantly given him. What he found inside was both revealing and disturbing. The box contained a cache of documents, a large sum of cash, and a gun. The documents were detailed records of illegal transactions, including payments to shadowy figures and lists of people involved in various criminal activities. Among these names was Victor Harrington, whose reputation as a notorious criminal figure now seemed to align with the evidence Liam had uncovered. The presence of the gun suggested that Arthur had been prepared for something dangerous, indicating that his involvement went beyond mere financial crimes. Liam's next step was to confront Victor Harrington. He knew that Harrington's connections to Arthur's activities made him a key player in unraveling the mystery. Victor's reputation for ruthlessness preceded him, and Liam approached the confrontation with caution. In a tense meeting at a secluded location, Liam laid out the evidence he had gathered, confronting Victor with the connection to Arthur's disappearance. Victor was initially dismissive, but as Liam presented the incriminating documents and the gun, Harrington's demeanor shifted. Victor's confidence turned to irritation as he denied any involvement with Arthur's disappearance. However, his anger seemed more like a defense mechanism than genuine denial. Victor hinted at a more complex scheme, suggesting that there were others involved who were pulling the strings behind the scenes. He implied that Arthur's disappearance was part of a larger plan that involved several players, each with their own agendas. Despite Victor's denial, Liam felt that he was getting closer to the truth. The information Victor had inadvertently provided pointed to a web of deceit that extended beyond Brooksville. Victor's connections with organized crime and his veiled threats suggested that the case was not just about Arthur but was part of a broader criminal operation. The tension escalated when Rachel Dawson went missing. Her sudden disappearance added urgency to Liam's investigation. The threats she had received, combined with the new evidence of her possible involvement, made her situation precarious. Liam feared that Rachel's knowledge of Arthur's dealings had put her in grave danger. Liam's search for Rachel led him to explore Arthur's and Rachel's pasts more thoroughly. He discovered that Rachel had previously been involved with dubious characters before her marriage to Arthur. This new information painted Rachel in a more complex light, suggesting that her involvement with Arthur was not purely as a supportive spouse but had deeper, more dangerous implications. Liam began to connect the dots between the financial records, the threatening messages, and Rachel's background. It became apparent that Arthur's disappearance was orchestrated as part of a larger scheme, with Rachel possibly being both a victim and a participant. The hidden box, the cash, and the gun were pieces of a puzzle that revealed a network of deceit and manipulation. As Liam pieced together the fragments of the case, he realized that he was entangled in a dangerous game where the stakes were far higher than he had anticipated. The involvement of organized crime and the threats to Rachel's life indicated that the truth was buried deep within layers of deception. Liam knew that to solve the case, he would need to uncover the full extent of the criminal network and the roles played by those involved. The investigation had become a race against time, with Rachel's safety and the resolution of Arthur's disappearance hanging in the balance. As Liam Carter pursued the threads of the Arthur Dawson case, the stakes reached a new height. Rachel Dawson's sudden disappearance had thrown a wrench into his plans, intensifying the urgency of his search. The case, which had started with a simple missing person inquiry, had evolved into a high-stakes game involving organized crime and deceit. Liam's investigation led him to believe that Rachel's disappearance was directly linked to Arthur's vanishing. The clues pointed to a broader conspiracy, with powerful figures manipulating events from the shadows. Liam was increasingly convinced that Rachel's knowledge of Arthur's dealings had made her a target, and her sudden absence suggested that she was either in hiding or had been taken by someone intent on silencing her. Determined to find Rachel, Liam sifted through all available evidence. He revisited the scenes connected to Arthur and Rachel, scrutinizing every detail for missed clues. The encrypted documents, the hidden box, and the threatening messages all pointed to a complex criminal operation. Liam's growing realization was that Rachel and Arthur had been caught in a web spun by powerful criminal elements with their own agendas. One night, Liam received an anonymous tip that led him to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. The location was eerily quiet, and the atmosphere was charged with the anticipation of an imminent confrontation. Liam approached with caution, his instincts alert for any sign of danger. Inside, he found a scene that confirmed his worst fears. Rachel was being held captive by Victor Harrington and his associates. Victor, flanked by a couple of armed men, greeted Liam with a smirk. "You should have stayed out of this, Carter," Victor said, his voice dripping with menace. The atmosphere was tense as Liam demanded to know what was happening. Victor revealed that the entire situation had been a carefully orchestrated scheme. Arthur's disappearance was a part of a larger plan to eliminate witnesses and consolidate power within the criminal network. Victor explained that Arthur had been a key player in a scheme involving money laundering and illegal arms dealing. His disappearance was meant to serve as a warning to others who might consider betraying the organization. Rachel, who had been Arthur's confidant, was now seen as a liability that needed to be dealt with. Liam's heart raced as he realized the gravity of the situation. The stakes had never been higher. Rachel's life was in imminent danger, and Victor's willingness to resort to violence made it clear that Liam needed to act quickly. Liam had no choice but to negotiate with Victor, trying to buy time while he formulated a plan to rescue Rachel. With a mixture of courage and cunning, Liam managed to create a diversion. He used his knowledge of the warehouse's layout and the element of surprise to gain the upper hand. A fierce confrontation ensued, with Liam narrowly escaping several close calls. The chaotic scene was a stark reminder of the dangerous world he had stepped into. In the midst of the chaos, Liam freed Rachel, who was shaken but unharmed. They managed to escape the warehouse just as the police, alerted by Liam's earlier communication, arrived on the scene. The confrontation with Victor and his men ended with their capture, bringing an end to their reign of terror. With Victor and his associates in custody, the remaining pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. The investigation revealed that Arthur had been a pawn in a larger game of power and greed. His disappearance, though tragic, was part of a plan to control and manipulate the criminal underworld. Rachel, though relieved to be safe, faced a future intertwined with the consequences of her past actions. Her involvement with Arthur and the criminal network had left her with a complex and uncertain path ahead. Despite her role in the deception, Rachel was ultimately a victim caught in a dangerous game. As the case concluded, Liam reflected on the journey he had undertaken. The peaceful town of Brooksville had been transformed into a stage for crime and intrigue, and he had navigated a labyrinth of deception to uncover the truth. The resolution of Arthur Dawson's disappearance had brought justice, but also highlighted the ever-present shadows lurking beneath the surface of seemingly tranquil lives. Liam Carter's investigation had revealed the hidden dangers of the world, where even the quietest places could harbor dark secrets. As Brooksville returned to its peaceful routine, Liam knew that he had made a difference, but the experience had left him with a renewed awareness of the complexities of human nature and the lengths to which people would go to protect their secrets.